Peace, family. This is your boy Gerald. It's Thursday, the 14th of May, 2020. How? I hope you're doing well. The damn soup coolers are getting away. I just woke up this morning, so I know I just woke up. So I had some thoughts on my mind from yesterday. Just to give you an update, I did return back to work yesterday. Because military don't stop. And so I started back, mask on, trying to do social distancing. And I'm concerned about my well-being. So I have to make sure that just as you step out in the world, you have the intentions on returning back the way you did, safe. But let's be transparent, fam. I know, sorry. Some of you are having a hard time. You're trying to balance your finances. You're trying to keep your mental health intact. And it's causing you to go within yourself because we have been afforded to see things in a different light, a different paradigm. And I know that some of you are optimistic about returning back to some type of norm when the time is deemed right. Now, unfortunately, worldwide, but in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, there are going to be some folks that don't give a damn about your well-being. And you see it. They refuse to listen to guidance. They refuse to wear the proper PPE when stepping out in said community. And that puts everybody at risk. But the one thing that has been very, very evident is it doesn't matter what your financial backing is. It doesn't matter who you know. It doesn't matter what you have access to when it comes to this pandemic. If you don't do what you need to do, you can lose your life. And we've seen it play out time and time again. And I'm saying this with all compassion, family. I don't have one inkling of negativity in my soul. I have more love and compassion to give to the intended heart, intended mind, intended spirit. Because optimistically, we will come on the outside. This is nothing more than proverbially being in that social gridlock. And it's just stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. And say you got to go through a tunnel or under an underpass and you're just waiting, it's just gridlock. Of course, it's going to frustrate you. But you're going to be vigilant when it's time to move. Some of you take that time to multitask safely Some take that time to pray. Some take that time to dream the big dream. But what we all do is we stay the course. We stay the same. And as we are waiting, progressing, assessing, eventually we come through. This is no different than any challenge that you've ever had to face in your life. May it be preparing for a test or digging deep within yourself to tap into another perspective of yourself that you did not know existed. This is what builds insight. Your insight is what fuels your momentum or direction. And after it has been completed, it shall be your wisdom. It will be your truth. It will be your testimony. So let me reel this back in. Let's go finances. I know some of you are waiting on your stimulus. Some of us, I received mine, but I filed my taxes in February. I haven't received my tax return yet. But instead of projecting my insecurity, because you see a lot of people that are, I don't like calling names, but the truth of the matter is you have a lot of people that embrace false strength through ignorance and bigotry because it's condoned, than finding strength to acknowledge what is being presented and being objective in the process. That is why it's so important, family, to discern but give thanks. Because unfortunately, family, somebody didn't wake up this morning. Now, not to demarginalize it, that is the cycle of mortality. And unfortunately, we have people that make decisions for our community that have already come to a consensus that it's going to be a calculated casualty. They've accepted that there's going to be far more people that needlessly did not have to succumb to the pandemic so that we can progress. So it's bittersweet because it falls back on every individual to do its part. You know, I'm not going to make this video about politics. Far from it. But what I will say is, now the more than ever, it's all about being responsible. You have to be responsible. Because at the end of the day, it is your life. And you are accountable for your decisions, as well as the outcomes from your decisions. That is why it's so important, family. Keep this grounded. If you are in a place where you feel that you're dealing with depression, write your thoughts down. Write them down. Write Just write until you don't want to write no more. Put that down. Put it away. Wait a couple days. Go back to what you wrote. Read what you wrote. And I guarantee you'll get a different perspective of what you were feeling. But it'll give you the momentum or motivation to do something about it. Because, family, I'm not trying to ramble, but I want you to understand. You have some people that live in our community that don't want you to do that. You have some people that look just like you that see you as a threat, a liability. And by you not seeing your value, you're doing not only an injustice to yourself, but you're benefiting the people that don't support you by not. So, I've been keeping my eye on what's been transpiring in regards to the proposal of the second round of stimulus check. And right now it looks like they're, from the House perspective, another one-time payment. But the bill is supposedly supposed to have renters support, mortgage support, and it's a big bill. But guess what? It has to go. It's got to go to the GOP, and they're gonna dissect it, and it's gonna be like poker. It's gonna be like, okay, this is what I bid. They're gonna have their bid, and they're gonna say, well, okay, I'll make this concession if you do that. Now, I don't see us seeing that. If it does, because it still has to go across the president's desk. So I don't see that coming down the pike until at least mid-June. And I can't ignore the fact that some of you are still waiting on your first stimulus check. Some of you are waiting on your tax return. I'm one of them. I got something in the mail the other day saying, hey, we acknowledge that we have its process. But I'm going to tell you this too. For my college students, number one, pay your student loans. Pay your student loans. Pay them. Do not allow your loans to default. Because if you ever defaulted student loan, guess what? If you got tax return, they took it. They took that and applied it to your debt. But the letter I got yesterday said March 13th, for those people who have student loans, they're frozen. So if you had a projected tax return, you're going to get it. You'll get it back. It's 0% interest being accrued on your loans, and they said it can take up to 30 to 60 days. So you will get that. If you had a tax return and you had a defaulted student loan, you're going to get your return back. But I would highly recommend this, because I read that document I got, and it said they're going to go back to back to business per se September. I gotta look at it again. I think it was either the 30th of September. It's going to be in September, and everything, the lights go back on, the power switch is going to be thrown. And if you have not been, whatever your balance is, that's what the interest rate is going to start at. But there is a ray of hope, because one of the proposals from the House is student loan forgiveness up to $10,000. Now, some of you guys may have MBAs. That's $100,000 debt. You know, some of you may not. So what I see is they got a big proposal and they spread it all out. And like I said, it still has to be debated on the GOP side of the House. And then whatever is said, agreed upon between the House and the Senate will be offered to the president. He will look at it, and if he gets what he desires, he will sign that. And that'll be our projected next stimulus check. Now, I will say this too. Kings, listen up. Queens, listen up. If you have children and you are mandated by the courts to send child support, if your child support is in the arrears, you're not getting a stimulus check. That's going to go to the parental custodian of your children. You're not going to see it, because there's a lot of people pissed off, like, I should have got a stimulus check and I didn't get it, and my children's mom got my check. Listen here, homie, the only reason why she got your check is because you was not doing what you needed to do. And they used that as justification to send the funds where it needed to go to begin with, your children. I'm not saying this out of shade. I'm letting you know what they're doing. Now, if you are in that said position, I would highly recommend this. Number one, get your child support out of the arrears. Number two, you need to go back to the family facilitator, family facilitating office, and you need to restructure your parental support order so it's joint. But guess what? If it's not done with true intent, it's going to blow up in your face. It's going to blow up in your face bigger than, because you got some people just looking at it from a perspective of, I just want the money, but I don't want the responsibility of my children. Don't work like that. Does not work like that. And so a lot of people didn't receive their stimulus check because it went where it was supposed to go all along. But let that be the motivation, so that when your community start opening up and you have your affairs in order, take your butt down to the family facilitator office and get your parental rights restructured so it's balanced. Now, listen, child doesn't have the right to pick their parents. They don't. And then guess what? What said parent does, because they were deemed responsible, the responsible custodian of said children, it's up to you to prove them wrong by you living the best example so that your parental rights are honored. But guess what? Let the motivation be your children, not your pockets. Because what you lack to do, the example will be exhibited by the community that your said child will gravitate to. You're talking to somebody. You're looking at somebody that my daughter will be 21 on the 21st. I had always took care of her financial responsibilities. Dental, optical, health. The amount of support that I rendered, you would have thought I had 3 children. But they reside in California. And mind you, never ever was afforded the opportunity to claim my daughter on my taxes. Never. Did I trip? No. Because my thing was, if anybody's going to go without, I'll go without before she will. Unfortunately, we still don't communicate. God knows I've tried. But she has to go through a cycle on her own to realize that everything her dad did was in her best interest. And anything that made her feel insecure could be alleviated when she has the courage to have a conversation with me. And I've offered countless times. I've even offered to say, hey, if you have any questions, concerns about my behavior, my choices, I have no problem sitting in the same room with your mother, because guess what? It was always from a position that was correct. I don't have anything to lose because I did right as a father should. Should I be pissed off that I didn't have access to my daughter? You see these little things right here? These tears. I cried a many a night because I couldn't protect her like I thought I could. But through her growth, she's always navigated through it all. You can't put a price tag on memories. You know, you can't. But I won't turn around and disrespect her mother either. I won't. Because, number one, I'm a man. And I won't compromise my character, because with her mother, she's a representation of she's an extension of me in a time in my life. So when you want to point the finger, you got to point the finger where it starts. And at the end of the day, her mother knows. She knows the truth. And I think that's what's kept us separated for all this time, because, you know, when you choose to weaponize your children, the result of that is their perception in the world. But it also leaves a big void for exploitation too. Because every little girl, every little boy needs their parents. Especially a little girl needs their dad. Now, on a different note, let me get off that soapbox because I kind of got distracted. So we are living economically, socially, family, in the parable of what I would say. Remember I used to always talk about the childhood story, the ant and the grasshopper? If you've never heard it, it's on, go up there, pick it up, ant and grasshopper. But it was about, short and sweet, it was about survival. And it was about staying true to your integrity. And, but I really believe socially, economically, that's what we're doing. You're economically seeing a purge. And because unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of companies, a lot of small businesses that will not be able to recover from this. The strong will survive. And unfortunately, from a health standpoint, I think governmentally they also have come to terms that more people are going to unfortunately lose their mortality because they fail to do what's needed to be responsible in regards to their said health. Your greatest wealth is your health, family. Don't you ever forget that. But unfortunately, we do live in a community, in an environment that you have some people that refuse. They refuse to put a mask on. They refuse to social distance. They refuse to protect themselves. And I don't wish bad on those people. But you have no one to blame if there's a turn for the worse, because you willfully made a choice to put yourself at risk. But on the flip side, it also puts everybody else at risk too. So being responsible, being strategic is best. Now's not time to put your ego out there, your pride in front of you. That's not going to work. It will not work. It will only delay what you need. But with that being said, I returned back to work yesterday. Sure did. And mask on, social distance where needed, and in the interim, I'm staying vitamin up. I'm doing everything to boost my immune system so that if by chance there is somewhat an exposure, I've got a fighting chance. Because guess what? You don't get sick unless your immune system takes a hit. That's why I'm going to always scream. Vitamin A, vitamin E, C, vitamin D, iron, zinc, magnesium. Drink your water. Get your adequate rest. If you do all those things, you'll be fine. Lastly, let's talk about finances. I know y'all are struggling. I'm just like you. I'm just like you. I'm grateful because through this whole thing, I've been okay. I hadn't had to trim the proverbial fat per se. But you know what I have done? It has caused me to look at how my financial health is. Look at the things that I need to plug the holes on. Because guess what, family? Your FICO score still goes up and down. Someone's still collecting the data on how you pay your bills. You realize that, like for example, like I put the video yesterday. It wasn't even 90 days ago I was looking at buying a house. Could I have bought that house? Yes. But it wasn't meant for me to have. What was meant for me to have was look at my finances a little more so I could fix what needed to be fixed with time. Was it meant for me to have that promotion? I believed I earned it, but it was not meant for me to have that position. You gotta bear with me. As long as you hear that, I'll always have a job. Because the federal government don't close down for nothing. But I went back to work, and just so happened, it rolled right back to my normal schedule, which Thursday and Fridays I'm off. And it also will afford me opportunity to work overtime because for what I do, I deal with air transportation. They're going to always need support. So I'm going to be able to benefit from that when the opportunities permit itself. But at the end of the day, I know that I have to be mindful of my timeline. Family. July 6th, I get off a plane. I'm on an island. New chapter. New discoveries. God's plan. I'm going to take you with you. I'm going to take you with me if you want to go. I'm going to share it with you. Do you want me to share it with you? I look forward to it. Give me a thumbs up if you're feeling that. Come on now. Give me a thumbs up. Because the reason I do this, I do it for you. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm getting paid by love. But the point of the matter at all is this, because I've gone over 30. We're going to get through all this. We're going to have to restructure how we navigate things. But we're going to get through this. And as you navigate through this, you're going to see a lot of things that are going to be bubbled up to distract you from your direction. And you're going to see a lot of people that are not emotionally equipped to deal with what's going on. Because the biggest thing that's going to be required through it all is accountability. And being accountable doesn't mean to act. It means to acknowledge what is being shown. You don't have to accept it, but you do have to acknowledge it. And if by chance you're going through some things, say with your finances, take this downtime, start doing the research. You ain't got nothing to lose. There are programs out there. Yes, you're going to have to proverbially jump through hoops. But guess who benefits from those said programs? The people that stay the course. Because they are set up for you to quit. Because then that means they ain't got to do their job, what they're sworn to do. So it's about employing those people to ensure that you get what you rightfully deserve. Now listen, we do live in a world where people are looking for the come up. They're looking for the scratch. They're looking for the hustle. There's nothing wrong with being to multitask. It's nothing wrong with that. But make sure it's the best. It represents the best you. It puts you in the best light. Because just as you heard the term pressure breaks the pipe, you got a lot of people walking around with a lot of holes going on. And you see it. You see it. They do a lot of emotional trigger stuff. Try to get you to react. Under the guise of ignorance. But deep down inside, they wish they were you. And they're just blown away of what your standing is. I deal with it all the time. But in the beginning, I used to be very hypersensitive. Like, why is that person? Why? Why are they riding around with the headlights trying to troll the back? Because I drive a Jeep. You got some people like, well, black people don't drive Jeep. You know what? You know who drives Jeep? The people that can afford the note. I own my Jeep. Pink slip. Paid. Jeep's paid off. I'm waiting for the pink slip to come in the mail next couple of weeks. Done. One less bill. Do not fuel someone's ignorance. That ain't nothing but somebody being, this is just like a 5-year-old looking to be coddled. I want attention at all costs. It shouldn't be at your expense. You know what pisses them off? Just like relationships, a bad one, bad behavior. It's when you don't acknowledge. The worst thing you could ever do to a person is fail to acknowledge they exist. Pisses them off. But guess what? Everything that you will come to know is a representation of what's found inside your mind. You build your reality through your mind. So if you got friends that all they do is want to cause drama, It's because drama is within you. And that's stuff that you're going to have to pull back the curtain and look at. Open up that emotional backpack and say, you know what? I deserve better. This does not work for me. And I need to make a change. And when you decide to do that, you will proverbially let that burden go. You can't grow with burden. Burden is a silent killer. Oh, that's why you hear people, they with the pandemic, what do they say? People are dying because of secondary complications. Well, if your mind's not right, your body's not going to react right. You're not going to make sound decisions. And it's a wasted opportunity. But what I'm going to do is stop this right now. I love each and every one of you. I look forward to what God has in store for the next chapter of my life. But I got work I got to do in the interim. So when we doing that, I ain't looking forward to that. I got to pack stuff up. I got to... But anyway, I hope you're fine. Please take care of your well-being, your health. Cut the drama out. Cut them people out your life. Cut them out. They're distractions. And if they don't have anything good to say, you ain't got no conversation. Keep it moving. Because when you decide to keep it moving, you make room for those people who will. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. We're going to get through this, family. Stay the course. Stay blessed. Stay you.